excited for the week. Equally as disappointed as I was Saturday night. Extremely excited for what's in front of us this week. Obviously, it's when you're preparing for what would it be, Thursday at 8:30 at night, we really don't know who we're playing. One good thing is that we just prepared for Vanderbilt, so the preparation for them should be pretty, I don't know if simple is the right word, but less complicated. So we'll probably spend some time refreshing on Arkansas because it's been a while. And then you line up and you go. And you got to trust in what you've done over the last 5 months, October, November, December, January, 5 months, to trust in what the season made your team to be.
Frank, you mentioned, just preparing for Vanderbilt, so you probably got the same kind of scout. Looking at the game film from it, what was the biggest problem that you have to address in these next 3 to 4 days, assuming that you play them again?
It was a real two things. They obviously earmarked 2 players that they were going to just attack anytime they were defending. And that was clear as day. That was my opinion going, like when the game ended without watching the film. And after watching the film, they had a plan. We're attacking these 2 guys, and that's what they did. And we were not very good at keeping the ball in front of us. We had the game under control, and we were not very good. And then the second part is something that I take a lot of pride in. They made it a very physical game. We didn't answer the bell, and I like physical, but we didn't answer the bell. We just didn't answer the bell.
Kind of going back to one of your first points about scout and all that, how do you kind of divvy up that with scouting for Vanderbilt now in Arkansas and then potentially LSU, and what's practice look like this week in terms of cleaning up your mistakes and then preparing for another opponent?
Yeah, today's just yesterday we were off. Today's weight room and a lot of individual work on the court. And just get our minds to a place when you have so many first-year players, it's so important. They don't comprehend this. It's our jobs to help them understand this as the week goes on. You can't have residue from Saturday or the season this week. You just can't. And it's a fresh start. You're 0-0. It's a completely different animal. You don't go in here and reinvent the wheel this week, but you don't go in here and you can't have your feelings hurt this week, or you're going to have a short week. You have to have a fresh mind and optimism and enthusiasm and excitement. That's the only thing that works with postseason basketball. And you just, like I said earlier, you have to trust in who your team became over the course of the season, not bring the emotions of your best win or your worst loss. And then how do we divvy it up? Chuck's got Vanderbilt, PC's got Arkansas. I'll probably spend some time with Perry later today to just, in my mind, refresh Arkansas. Luckily for us, we played them with Isaiah Joe. So we played them full tilt. So we have a feel for what their team was like with Isaiah Joe now that he's back. I'll probably watch our Arkansas game tonight. And then tomorrow is pretty much a we practice, not an opponent practice. Good thing about playing Thursday night is that you got time to prepare during the day. And then Wednesday we'll practice over there. It'll be a majority we practice, meaning worried about ourselves. And then Wednesday night sometime we'll re-implement the scouting report, and Thursday a shoot-around. We'll do the stuff that we feel we need to do to solidify our game plan going into a game.
Frank, you mentioned just being out tough that last game, just the last couple games, because defensively you guys were phenomenal. I don't know if you would use the word phenomenal, but you guys were strong for most of the season. Has it been just lack of toughness or just lack of execution these last couple games?
Mike, there were times that I felt that we're running out of steam because we're young and we have to play with a certain level of intensity and toughness and just desperation for us to be good. But I thought we defended really well against Mississippi State. I thought that was a physical game, and I thought we answered the bell, and but we obviously couldn't sustain it. It's not like we played bad to start the Vanderbilt game. We were actually in a pretty good place with about 2 minutes to go in the first half, and then there were some screens that we didn't get through, and gave them. We messed up. Give them credit now that we messed up a ball screen coverage like a bad breakdown. Give them a pick and pop three, which the game plan was don't give those up. So we make a real bad game plan on that, a real bad mistake on that. And then the same young man makes another three from the top of the key on a kind of I call it a Princeton flare. It's the old Princeton offense because of where the flare set at. And, we didn't get through the screen. We accepted getting screened. And there were some plays at the rim, some plays off the dribble. Like they were determined to not let us drive the basketball. And we accepted that. Yet they just put their head down and drove, a couple of our guys relentlessly. I thought we defended fairly well against Georgia. Not great, but fairly well. And it's hard to win when you go on the road and the other team shoots 40 free throws and you make 1 3. Is that what we made? 1 3 for the game? It's we were being outshot from the foul line by 20 with about 3 minutes to go in the game. And if you're going to give up 40 free throws and make 1 3, you're not going to win. I mean, it's just I don't care who you are, where you're playing, you're just not going to win.
Frank, playing off that, how tough is it to try to teach your style of defense and get the guys to play it with the way the game is being called these days? Not looking to get you in trouble with the officials or nothing, but
the game's being called like that for the last 4 years. It's not like they made a decision that it's going to get called a certain way this year. We just it's not my style of defense. We can play pack line. If the guy in front of the ball doesn't guard the ball, your defense is going to scramble. And they just it's that comes back to self-accountability. Back when Sindarius and Dwayne and them were freshmen, we kind of had this problem. They were freshmen, and Carrera and them were sophomores, and we were overly aggressive. But what gave me optimism then, as they were learning, was there's a certain level of competitiveness, like this is not going to happen anymore. And that's why by the end of the year, that team actually started playing real good basketball, as young as we were. This year, we kind of you go back to at Mississippi State, we didn't defend real well. At Alabama, didn't defend well. At Vandy, didn't defend well. And it's and the common theme is guys get beat off the dribble, and then us, instead of surviving the possession, fouling people and putting people at the foul line. And and that's I'm not going to sit here and say it's a concern for me, because I'm not. It's not the time of year to be concerned about things. It's the time of year to go play the best you can. But it's been a little disappointing. I thought that I thought we'd be better. But at the end of the day, the biggest at Vanderbilt was just a real physical game. They screened us. And we gave in. We gave in, and that was disappointing.
Ben, and then you can pass it to Colin.
You kind of mentioned some of the prep and the stuff you can do, but when you are between games in this everyday kind of format, what can you guys do prep wise between those? Do you Do you get time to get guys on the court? Is it just film sessions? What kind of are you able to coach in those gaps, I guess?
Yeah, we're on spring break, so we got plenty of time for film, plenty of time to be on the court with the guys.
No, I mean when you're up in Nashville, like
Ah.
if you were to win and then turn around.
All film work. And then you go on the court. The first night we play at 8:30, I believe if we figure that one out, we play again at 8:30 on Friday. So we'll have court time Friday during the day. If we got a night to afternoon turn, we probably won't go on the court. We'll just go in the meeting room at the hotel, and we kind of tape a court on there and just kind of walk through whatever it may be. But that's where you have to trust the lessons of the season. That's where you have to trust. You hope that your young guys that had never heard a scouting report before, that after listening to 31 of them, that they appreciate the value of a scouting report and are better prepared to understand a scouting report. And not just them, as coaches too. You got to know how to teach it and how to present it to make sure you grasp them. So, and that's what, when I say you got to trust in who you've become as a team, that's a part of it.
Talked after the Vanderbilt game about not wanting to play Justin as much as you did.
Yeah.
What's the plan for him this week, and can you foresee him being in the starting lineup in Nashville? And I guess how good is it to have him defensively, given the struggles the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I don't think I'll put him in the starting lineup, but hopefully we can get him a good workout today, and then 2 full go practices the next 2 days, and get him back to conditioning-wise, timing-wise, personality-wise, re-engaged a little bit better in the things we're doing. And, there's some things that we were doing with him out there that we stopped doing without him out there, because the guys that were filling in for him had different skill level, different. I'm not going to run the same actions or ideas when you have players of different talents. So we got to reintroduce some of the things that we were trying to do with him out there. But it's great to have him back. He brings an energy, an enthusiasm, a personality, a toughness at the rim that he and Jalen are the 2 guys that provide that offensive rebounding. Wildens does it to a certain extent. I probably should have played Wildens a little bit more at Vanderbilt, given him a chance, but I don't know. He went in there for a minute and was jogging back and forth, so he seemed tired to me, so I just didn't play him. But those 3 guys are the guys that provide the toughness at the rim for us. Kotsar gives us skill and knowledge and understanding. But those 3 guys are the ones that provide that real toughness at the rim.
You're obviously fresh with Vanderbilt, but obviously Arkansas is on the other side of that too. What do you remember about that game in Fayetteville?
Mason Jones putting his head down and driving the ball every single time, and us just keep putting him on the foul line. I remember making a bunch of threes early in the game. I remember Mike Kotsar scoring around the rim to give us a lead, and we played from ahead the whole game. I remember them making a push, and a lot like Virginia at Virginia, and us answering the bell and stopping the bleeding. Like we never stopped the bleeding at Vanderbilt. We had a lead, playing from ahead. They're at home. They play good at home. They feel good about themselves. They've gotten a lot better as a team. Here they come. We never stopped the bleeding. We just kept gushing blood. At Arkansas, I thought we stopped the bleeding. And when you're on the road, that's very important. Now, the neutral site, what happens there? But that's what I remember the Arkansas game.
This is a little follow-up on some of the Justin stuff, but after you got to go back, watch the film of his his first game back, did anything more kind of pop and stand out from when you were watching it live from the sidelines?
As pertaining to Justin?
Yeah.
No, just he's got a knack for finding the ball. And without him, we we had to fight a little harder to find the ball. When I mean find the ball is like when the ball's shot or, the ball's kind of bouncing around somewhere. He has a knack to find the ball. When he cuts, he's an older player, so when he cuts with a purpose. He cuts with an energy. He doesn't just kind of cut and jog and stand. Defensively, he gives us the ability to get out there, and it gives us a fourth perimeter defender to get out there and deny and really contest stuff on the perimeter. And he's long. People, you don't realize how Justin, we all worry about top of people's heads, which, he's in that 6'6", 6'7" range, but he's long. He's probably 6'9". From a reach standpoint, which is what matters. That's how much space he covers for shots and passes. And so it's it was good to see him out there. When I was watching film, it was good to see him out there running around and throwing his body around again. And I hope with a couple more practices, he continues to feel more comfortable with himself and his hand and the whole thing.
You kind of touched on it a couple times this season when all SEC teams come out, I think tomorrow. What do you make of Mike Kotsar's chances for all defensive team defensive player of the year and maybe Jermaine's chance at all freshman team?
We were picked 12th by the coaches and 13th by the media, and we finished tied for 4th. No, we're seeded 6th, but we're tied for 4th, 5th, right? So I'd like to think our players deserve awards. If we were picked by everybody to basically be dragging the bottom of the league, and once again we finish, upper half or whatever way you want to word that. So I'd like to think that the players will be rewarded with some kind of award, because I believe it's about winning, not stats. I've got every bad team has a player with good statistics. He's also part of the reason they're a bad team. So when you win, I think the players deserve a lot of credit.
Based on that.
Send me on my way.
Yes. Based on that, the fact that where you finished based on where you were predicted to finish, if you don't make the NCAA tournament, would you still consider this a successful year?
I think so. I mean, we're 328th or something like that as far as youth. There's some teams in our league that have a lot of experience and they finish below us. I'm trying to count here, Phil. I used to count better. What's that, 6 consecutive non-losing seasons? Is that accurate? There's still games to be played. I don't know where this is going to end this year. I think I'm better prepared to answer that question whenever we play our last game this season and have the postseason press conference. But where I'm at right now, am I disappointed in some losses this year? Of course I am. But I'm overly optimistic with what's in place. I'm overly optimistic with the fact that once again we've become a better team as the season's gone on. I'm excited with the fact that that we're in the top half of our league, and I think we got 11 freshmen and sophomores on the roster, of which 1 senior plays. I'm not prepared to put closure to this season yet. I'm not prepared to pass judgment as to what's good, what's bad. But since you're asking me the question, I'm trying to share my thoughts at where we stand right now. But I'll give you, whenever it is, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, whenever we sit here and it's the last one of the year, I'll be more than ask me the same question again. I'll give you a better answer. But for right now, I don't know, Phil. Who's won more in the SEC than over the last 6 years? Yeah, it's I don't even know who is it. Kentucky. Yeah, we're in a good place, and when you can say you're doing that, and let me see, your point guards are Jermaine Cousinard, freshman, Trey Hannibal, freshman, T.J. Moss, freshman, off guard, A.J. Lawson, sophomore, small forward, Keyshawn Bryant, sophomore, Justin Minaya, sophomore, and you lost Keyshawn and Justin for excessive, not excessive, but big chunks of the season. You got your first two bigs off the bench are two freshmen. The guy that starts next to Mike Kotsar right now is playing the best basketball he's played since he's been here, the most consistent basketball he's played since, and he's a sophomore. You put me on the spot. I mean, I'm optimistic with what we're doing right now, where we're at with what we've done up to this point. But we'll put closure to the season, and I'll give you my opinion on that whenever that day comes. Yep.